Hey Tony, it's Friday. Well, it's actually Saturday, but as I explained to you yesterday, we ended up in the emergency room for the better part of yesterday because Justice had some stomach issues, so the video wasn't getting done. But first off, to answer your question of the week, I don't think I could honestly say I'm glad. I am not glad that this is what American politics has come to. And this is even before the impeachment hearing, anything like that. Even if it was a guarantee Trump was going to be removed from office, I wouldn't be happier. I wouldn't be proud about that or glad about that because that's a huge blight on the history of America. And believe me, America has several. This would be a huge blight on our political history. And considering all the partisanship, considering all the polarization, considering how Mitch McConnell has come out and said that the Senate stands with the president, I'm just worried. All of this has been a severe flout of political norms and even like American culture, like political culture, that I think the only thing we can be is worried. So what I want to talk about this week is actually going to be a little bit different, in which I don't really plan on talking too much about American politics right now because it's been the holiday. It's been fairly slow for a little bit, but I kind of want to do a little bit of a recap of 2019 in general because I think my next video that I make will be in 2020.
I think it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, because yeah. So it's been. I think it's going to be kind of a two-part review of the decade and review of the year. So 2019 is a year. At least on the personal side, wasn't too bad. We moved into our new place, which we like. I became an attorney, which was awesome. And just like all in all, I think it was a pretty good year. I did a lot. I mostly worked. Took the bar in February, but it's kind of weird to think that I took the bar almost 11 months ago at this point. So it feels like a lot longer and a lot shorter in equal measure as it tends to. So 2019, like I said, it wasn't super groundbreaking for myself, save for becoming an attorney. Otherwise, it's just kind of been a day in, day out, go to work on some cases, get paid, go home. So I think that's a pretty decent explanation of this year.
I'd say a lot of other things happened, but
I mean, a lot of things did happen.
You went on a trip with your parents, we hiked, the trails. Like, overall, it was a good year for experiences, but that's a personal opinion.
I mean, no, I agree with you. I do agree with you on that. The decade itself has been kind of wild to me because at this point, at the start of the decade,
we didn't even know each other.
No, we didn't. I was in high school. It was 2009 going into 2010. I was in my junior year of high school. So it's been a bit of a change since then. I knew I was, this was even before I was all set on going to undergrad. That little did I even begin to think that I was going to end up in Massachusetts or end up as an attorney or end up married with a wonderful wife and a wonderful life here.
Thank you.
But it's been a decade. There's been a lot that's gone on. One thing that hasn't gone on is the Browns haven't had a winning season, but...
Of course you do that.
But otherwise, it's been wild. Now, to me, 2009 still feels like just a couple of years ago. There's a post going around on...
That's only 4 to 5 years ago.
Nope, it was 10 years ago.
I know, don't remind me.
Well, the 90s were 30 years ago.
Yeah, I know. You mean those were 10 years ago, right?
Time is an illusion, and I'm quickly realizing just how much of an illusion that is. But no, it's been crazy. At this point in high school, I was taking classes. I started taking classes at Kent State, just kind of doing my normal daily tasks and things like that every day. And now it's an entirely different world. A lot can change in a decade. And I know as I get older, the decades are just kind of grow shorter in length in my mind. But the 2010s was a wild trip. There were some great things that happened within the country during that time, and some terrible things.
I gotta figure out what the hell I'm gonna do with that.
But all in all, it's really just been a trip. So I can kind of laugh back in high school. I had my 10-year plan. You know, I was going to go to college, study abroad for a semester, for a year. Just like work till I went to law school, probably in Columbus, to then try and work with Bob afterwards. And now it's entirely different. I never ended up studying abroad while in college. I graduated high school with high marks and graduated undergrad with decent marks as well. I never would have imagined I would have ended up in Massachusetts. Never would have imagined I would have been an attorney in both Massachusetts and soon to be Connecticut. I finally Connecticut took my firstborn child, so I'm finally gonna be admitted to Connecticut here in the next month or so, which is pretty exciting. And it was even more exciting because I didn't pay for it. But I would have never imagined 10 years ago where my life would be. And it's remarkable. I wish I had more things to say about it, because this was a decade of highs and lows. It's been a year of mostly highs, couple lows here and there, but mostly highs. And it's just been the constant beat of time has really been the only constant in my life so far, and it's kind of neat. I can look in just the past 5 years itself. The past 5 years have had the largest change in my life, I think, as far as I can remember. Because I started law school in 2015. I graduated undergrad at the tail end of 2014, so that was 5 years ago.
You got engaged in 2015.
Yeah, I got engaged in 2015. We moved to Massachusetts in 2015. Ended up going to law school. Made a lot of friends there who I'm still really close to. Learned a lot. Learned how to be an adult, more or less.
I still don't feel like an adult. I look at Jasper and go, no, I'm definitely an adult, but I still have moments where I'm like, I am not an adult.
It's just 10 years ago I was 17. And that's something I just find remarkable. Now I'm 27, going on 28 in October, and nearing my 30s, far closer than I was to my 20s. It's been so... Time doesn't exist. Time is simply an illusion that humans have made to basically make sense of the world. But it still feels important. It still feels like a time of great change I've gone through, because I have. There have been so many changes in my life in the past 10 years that I can't even name them all starting from the top, because it's just been so many. So Tony, my question for you is, looking back on your decade, how was it? Tony, I'll see you on Tuesday. Later, bro.